Mr. Peter Ndoro, the Master of Ceremonies, or whatever they call you. Are you the anchor or whatever they call you? The editor of the New Age, Mr. Mohsin Williams, the editorial team and management of the New Age as well, the chairperson and the acting COO of the SABC and the management thereof, Mr. Mafika Mkwanazi, the chairperson of Transnet, ministers, deputy ministers, distinguished guests and ladies and gentlemen. And I overlay the minister's part because I've seen quite a number of my colleagues here who are going to take all the questions. And they are all ready and willing to do so. And they woke up bright and early this morning to do precisely that. And fellow South Africans, it's wonderful to have this opportunity. President Zuma yesterday delivered his first State of the Nation address, opening Parliament, the fifth Parliament of our democracy. He was in his element, focused, strong, and I think we should pay tribute to him for having delivered such a wonderful, forward-looking State of the Nation address. And what he delivered is so clearly and well captured by a number of publications, and the New Age puts it out succinctly by saying Zuma commits to growth, because that is precisely what the president did yesterday. The delivery of the State of the Nation address took place against the background or backdrop of 20 years of progress in our country, progress at the political level in terms of consolidating our democracy, but progress also in relation to changing South Africa. And it confirmed once again that South Africa is a completely different place than it was in 1994. And that confirmed the good story that South Africa has to tell. And indeed, this concept has now been embraced by millions of our people who, as you go around, will tell you that, yes, we as South Africans, not only the ruling party, we as South Africans have a good story to tell. And ladies and gentlemen, this is something we should not be shy about. We should not be shy about, even if there are detractors, people who always have this pull you down syndrome of pulling the country down. We have a good story to tell. We have made tremendous progress in the last 20 years, and that is precisely what the president was talking about yesterday. But despite the achievements of the last 20 years, we still face many challenges. Inequality is still a major challenge to us. Poverty is still a major challenge to us. And unemployment continues to affect many lives of our people in South Africa. And the State of the Nation address that the President delivered yesterday also took place against the backdrop of huge and enormous economic challenges that our country faces. Many countries around the world are also facing significant economic challenges. We are not alone as South Africans in facing the economic challenges that we face. We are not alone in facing the huge problem of unemployment. Many other countries are facing precisely the same problem. And sometimes when countries face economic challenges, they either do nothing and sit by and wait for the storm to pass, or they do something to address the challenges that their economies confront. We have chosen to do something. As the President said yesterday, we are a country at work. We are working to change South Africa, and we are also working to address the economic challenges that we face. And we are alive to the causes of our challenges that have resulted in low growth and high unemployment. And the rating agencies who recently rated our country have also raised their concerns about our economy, and they are concerned about our growth outlook, which they believe has deteriorated over time. And some of them also raised the issue of the strike and the platinum belt. And we are as deeply concerned as all South Africans about the level of growth in our economy. What inhibits our economic growth? There are quite a number of factors that inhibit our growth. The energy constraints that the President so eloquently addressed is one of the key factors that inhibits our growth. Many companies who want to invest further, look at our energy landscape and say, we will not be able to get on with our manufacturing capabilities or activities because there are energy constraints in South Africa. So that is a serious constraint that we have to address. Another constraint that we have is skill shortage. And this is where the legacy of apartheid education is beginning to take effect. We do not have the numbers of engineers that this country needs or this economy needs to drive it forward. We do not have the number of technicians and artisans that this country needs. So we do have and face a skills shortage. We have infrastructure constraints. That's one of the major problems that confronts us. The rail lines that can take our ore from the mines to the coast and the beneficiation process and all that are in short supply. We have a low investment type of environment, and there's also low demand. When confronted with economic challenges, many countries around the world will embark on a number of strategies that are meant to address the economy or the economic slump that they may well be going through. Some will come with stimulus packages, as we saw happening in the Northern Hemisphere some years ago. Others embark on huge infrastructure development projects, and others will even embark on things like huge public works programs and so forth. And others will take various measures. What have we chosen to do? We've chosen to come up with a plan. The National Development Plan is the overarching framework that is meant to address the economic challenges that we face. And indeed, it is so overarching that it addresses many other aspects of South African life, does not only address the economy. But if you zero into the aspects that deal with our economy, therein lies the answers. Therein lies the tools with which we will be able to address the economic challenges that we face. The program of action outlined in the State of the Nation is essentially based on the National Development Plan as well as the ruling party's election manifesto. The economy, or put properly, the President made the economy the center stage of what he addressed us on yesterday. And it is a program that is targeted at growing our economy. The most effective weapon in the campaign against low growth, against poverty, is jump-starting the economy and making sure that our economy begins to perform at a higher level. One of the key issues that we have to address is creating jobs. Creating work requires faster and a much more inclusive economy. And this program of action therefore involves a range of measures to remove the constraints on growth, stimulate faster job creation, and invest in the long-term sustainable growth of our economy. As I said earlier, what President Zuma demonstrated yesterday is that we are a nation at work. We're not sitting on our laurels or hiding our heads in the sand like an ostrich. The government of President Zuma is very much alive to the challenges that we face and is determined to work with all sectors of our economy and key role players to make sure that we address the economic challenges that we face. The President also said that we are prepared to work with the private sector. The private sector generates up to 70% of jobs in our country, and the President has committed himself and his government to work very closely with the private sector to begin to address what many people call the trust deficit. We want to address the trust deficit and work hand in glove with the private sector to ensure that we inject growth in our economy. And to this end, the President will be meeting the Presidential Working Group to engage business on a number of issues about economic growth. And one of the things he will be saying to them is that the public sector, the government, has demonstrated over and over again, has demonstrated confidence in the economy of our country, and we would like the private sector to follow suit. We would like the private sector to also invest in this economy, to get over this low level of investment that we've been going through. So it is a call that the President has made to the private sector to invest in our economy. But in doing so, at this meeting that he will hold, he will listen very carefully to what the private sector has to say, so as to understand what they articulate as constraints to economic growth, so as to hear carefully what their proposals are in terms of getting engaged more effectively to generate growth in our economy. So we look forward to this meeting that will take place shortly so that all of us can work together to begin the process of generating growth in our economy. We will also engage with various other social partners to arrive at a common approach at encouraging economic growth and stability and reducing inequality in our country. And a particular area of focus, as the President addressed us on yesterday, is going to be in the mining sector. Mining sector has been going through a lot of stress, and there are quite a number of problems apart from the strike that is ongoing, which is being addressed by the partners involved in that process. There are a number of other issues, living conditions, housing conditions, that the President addressed yesterday. And he will now be taking forward the process of the implementation of the framework agreement that was arrived at under the leadership of former Deputy President Kgalema Motlanthe. Work will also continue at interministerial level in addressing the infrastructure key challenges that we face in that regard. The President spent quite a lot of time addressing the challenge of energy. We've identified energy as a huge constraint to our economic growth, and the government has decided that it is going to take steps to address this major challenge. And the President articulated clearly what our strategy is on energy, and that we are going to embark on a sustainable energy mix that comprises coal, that comprises solar, wind, hydro, gas, and nuclear energy. It will also include focused efforts to bring the Medupi and Kusile power stations online in the shortest possible time and proceed to ensure that they come into generation sooner than we had hoped for, so that they can contribute to the grid and increase our energy power. A critical part of our efforts to grow the economy is a massive, coordinated focus investment in the economic and social infrastructure. Infrastructure is still the key area of focus for our government. We have an infrastructure backlog, and the President articulated this very clearly yesterday, and we've already made huge progress. R1 trillion has already been invested, and we're going to be investing close on to 900 billion rand going forward in the next 3 or so years. And that is a clear sign of confidence in the economy of our country. It is meant to address precisely the constraints that we have identified. The other key area is the area of skills. The skills shortage, the government has pulled out all stops to make sure that our young people get skills, they get proper skills as to be able to contribute to the growth of our economy. This government invests, as we all know, much more on a GDP contribution basis in education, and we are beginning to see that we are gaining traction. Young people are beginning to take up a number of training opportunities that are available. What we also want to see is the private sector coming to the party in as far as opening up opportunities for young people, internship opportunities, learnership opportunities, and ensuring that they also give young people opportunities to get bursaries and go and learn. Many of us who've been exposed to these young people see a lot of enthusiasm and energy amongst young people. They just simply want to learn. They want to become skilled, and what we have to do is to give them the opportunity. We have to give them the tools. We have to give them everything that we can to make sure that they get these skills as to be able to make a contribution to our country. Many of you will have seen how that young girl at Mambeki's funeral stood up on the podium and articulated a clear message of what young people need. And some of us who were there said, this is the future of our country. We've got young people who are determined to learn, to get skills, and to contribute meaningfully to the future of our country. Let us give them the opportunity to do so. This government has decided that it is going to do precisely that in as far as skilling our young people is concerned. At the industrial level, our focus is to reindustrialize our country, to contribute as much as we can in the form of incentives to manufacturing entities and a whole number of other economic players. And all this adds to the packages that we have put in place to regenerate growth in our economy. And we believe that a combination of all these should be sufficient to begin to move us to that 5% growth that the President articulated yesterday. We've got the tools, we've got the wherewithal, we've got the energy, we've got the strategy. The National Development Plan is our overarching strategy that is going to enable us to reach that level of growth. Many people often talk about implementation. They say it's all very well that you've got all these plans, but implementation is going to be the key. One of the conversations that we had with people in the rating agency, they said, you've got a wonderful plan. The National Development Plan is a great plan, but we want to see whether you are indeed going to implement this plan. And the answer to that was given by the President yesterday. He is going to require this wonderful cabinet that he has appointed of talented men and women to get on with the task of implementing the National Development Plan. Ministers are going to be required, as the President said, to meet him and the Deputy President and outline precisely what it is they are going to do in each of their portfolios. And thereafter, to sign clear and focused agreements with the President, agreements that will be supported by an evaluation and assessment mechanism that will be monitoring their own performance. This time round, the President is deadly serious to see to it that there is clear performance from the men and women that he has appointed as his cabinet ministers. Watch this space. There is going to be clear performance. I've never seen the President more serious than this. He wants to move this country forward. He wants the National Development Plan to be clearly implemented. And we are going to see those ministers getting off to a good start in as far as implementing the plan is concerned. I end by saying you also heard the President focusing more attention on what we intend to do in as far as addressing the complaints, the proposals, and if you like, the issues that were raised by our people during the election campaign. And that was largely at local government. President has given Minister Pravin Gordhan the task of making sure that our local government entities work effectively, they work to address the needs of our people, and we get rid of many of the problems. The President took time, as you heard yesterday, outlining precisely the challenges that we face in a number of municipalities. This is renewed focus in as far as addressing the real problems that face our people. We look forward to the team that Minister Gordhan is going to lead, beginning to deal with the key challenges, making sure that we address the problems that local government faces, and through that, through the various initiatives that the President outlined, there's going to be great activity at local government level. There's going to be projects that we embark upon. There's going to be job opportunities that will be unleashed in various local areas. Job creation is going to happen. Skills development is going to happen in line with the overall framework that the government has. So this is a country, a government that continues to be at work. In every area of our country, we are going to see activity, we are going to see progress. In fact, we have even said that we would like every local area, every local town, local municipality developing its own plan. And there should be activity of a developmental nature at every level of our country where our people live. And the government will come in and become the stimulus to ensure that that activity happens. Amounts of money are going to be budgeted, and we are therefore going to see great activity at the national level, at the provincial level, as well as at the local level. The next 5 years, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be a period of great economic activity, great social activity, great delivery, where ministers of government are going to be focused and where the President will be directing matters to make sure that we deliver to the people of South Africa, because they deserve it. They deserve no less but good performance, good delivery, and that is what is going to be delivered. Thank you very much.